What up, YouTube? Teammates here. Since this month, I'm doing my reviews for past August films. Now, normally I don't really talk about the months of older films. Like most I've been doing like the movies that got released in the months in either 90s, 2000s. But I make an exception with this one because obviously this is one of the greatest movies to ever get released around in August. And since today is the film's 51st, not 51st, 90th, I can't remember how long it was. But since today the film is celebrating its anniversary, I'm doing my review for the classic 1939 film, The Wizard of Oz. I mean, this movie, of course, got released on this day in August 25th, 1939. And let's be real, it's one of the greatest motion pictures of all time. It's one of my number one favorite films of all time. It's so iconic. It's a classic. You know, based on a classic novel by L. Frank Baum. You got Judy Garland playing Dorothy, who of course ends up who's this Kansas girl who where like this tornado ends up ripping through Kansas, and Dorothy and her dog Toto all whisk away, in their house to this magical land of Oz. And of course, there, she ends up meeting the Glenda the Good Witch. Who, by the way, Glenda the Good Witch, like, we already think that the main villain is obviously the Wicked Witch of the West. I'm saying right now, Glenda the Good Witch, she is not a good witch at all. She's actually the most evil one of the whole bunch. I mean, yeah, but that aside, of course, Dorothy ends up meeting the, Munchkins, and obviously some of the best iconic songs here of, Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead and all. The Lollipop Guild, if included. I mean, those Lollipop Guilds, by the way, one of the most iconic, music numbers there is. Then, of course, she ends up finding out the only way to get back to Kansas is she has to follow the Yellow Brick Road. And, of course, along the way, she obviously ends up, taking a Wicked Witch's shoes. And lots of people always think that the Wicked Witch of the West is the most evil. You know what? You gotta really... The reason why she wants to get Dorothy, because, I mean, for one, you killed her sister, okay? That will piss anyone off. And you took the dead sister's shoes. So, yeah, I mean, if you really look at it, the Wicked Witch of the West does have a purpose of why she wanted to get Dorothy, but, still, then, of course, along the way, she ends up meeting, a Scarecrow who wants a brain, a Tin Man who wants a heart, and, of course, the Carrie Lion who wants, courage. And the makeup, by the way, is fantastic. Of course, you have, Ray Bogler, who portrays the role of Scarecrow. Jack Haley does such a great job as the Tin Man. Burt Law plays the Carrie Lion. But, of course, one of the best performances in this will always be Margaret Hamilton as the Wicked Witch of the West. I mean, she is so frightening in this. The makeup aspect she wore. I mean, loads of kids back in the days were so, frightened of her. Like, the actress who plays the witch, Margaret Hamilton, she actually appeared on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood to show, to show the youngsters that it's just make-believe and stuff, which was pretty cool right there. But anyway, yeah, of course, this movie, the beginning is, goes from color, from black and white to color, which I thought was a great transition. I mean, this movie is, of course, I did my top 10 favorite movies of all time a couple years ago, and Wizard of Oz was, of course, number one. Willy Wonka is number two there, but yeah, it's, The Wizard of Oz is obviously one of the greatest motion pictures of all time. Great performances by Judy Garland, by, the other cast. Of course, you have Frank Morgan, who, plays multiple characters. Obviously, he plays the, wizard. He plays that fortune teller guy. So, yeah, before Eddie Murphy and Tyler Perry got in the mix of playing multiple characters, Frank Morgan was the king of them all, alright? But anyway, yeah, and of course, the film was directed by Victor Fleming, who the same year prior, he directed Gone with the Wind, which Gone with the Wind is good, but I still think Wizard of Oz show won Best Picture that year, but At least they won for Best Original Song for Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I mean, the music aspect is so good. I mean, this definitely has some really iconic good music in it. From if I only had a brain to Somewhere Over the Rainbow, to If I Were King. I mean, this definitely has some really cool. Like the music element is really decent. It's definitely partially musical, so there's that. The ending is really iconic. I mean, I'm melting. Yeah, nice way to kill a wicked witch is by water. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the best movies involving a witch. You know, the costume is so good. The makeup. I know production when they first shot this thing was torture. I mean, poor Judy Garland she literally had to literally smoke thousands of cigarettes. Believe it or not, she stay skinny. I mean, I've read upon how poor girl was handled. I gotta say, I feel sorry for the poor girl. And not to mention, I think the guy who was supposed to play, I think the Scarecrow, the Tin Man or whatnot, they actually had to drop out of the role because, the makeup, something like burned their skin. So there's that. The scene where the Wicked Witch of the West, goes into like smoking stuff. She literally got second-degree burns from the smoke, which I mean, this movie is great. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But my God, I can't believe how terrible the production was. Like, dang, that production was rough. But anyway, of course, since The Wizard of Oz, there's been countless other literary adaptations. Obviously, there was an all-black version, which was The Wiz, that had Diana Ross and Michael Jackson. There was, of course, The Muppets Wizard of Oz. Let's see, what else? Tom and Jerry Wizard of Oz, if you want to go political there. Of course, there was Oz Great and Powerful with James Franco, which I really enjoyed, by the way. I still wish Disney would go ahead and give us a sequel, but I guess that's not going to happen. And not so long ago, it was also announced that they're going to be doing like a horror take of The Wizard of Oz. And not to mention, they're doing an actual remake of The Wizard of Oz as well. I mean, we're going to be seeing more Wizard of Oz films down the line in the future. But nothing will ever beat the original. I mean, the original is such a classic. It's so iconic. One of the greatest films of all time. If you have never really seen the original Wizard of Oz, not really sure where you can find it nowadays. Oh, you can find it on HBO Max. Sweet. You can probably find it on other. I mean, they show these things on TBS, TCM. I mean, I was actually lucky enough to literally rewatch the Wizard of Oz on the big screen a couple times. One time was during the IMAX, during like an IMAX re-release. Then the other time was about around, I think it was the following year, when TCM and AMC did the TCM special where they re-released a classic film and all. So yeah, I was lucky enough to see this thing in theaters twice. But great big experience. It's always great watching these type of classic movies on the big screen for the first time, And The Wizard of Oz, by the way, also had the 99% Rotten Tomatoes. It did not do so well when it first got released, but it grew legs. It became of course it became a pop culture phenomenon. So yeah, I mean, one of the greatest films of all time. If you guys haven't seen that. Anyway, let me lead you guys. Have you ever seen The Wizard of Oz? If so, what's up? Were you a fan of it? Were you not a fan of it? What are some of your favorite parts? Some of your favorite moments? Some of your favorite songs? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This is Henry signing out.